Hi there, and welcome to the Realm Architect tutorial. In the last video, we just started out by building our world out of some maps we had lying around, linking them all together and showcasing what is amazing about the way we envision future VTTs to be. As you could see, it was actually a very easy process, and in case you missed it, you'll find the link to that video in the description below. Now, we ended that video in the tavern where, quite, traditionally our party would find each other to start their adventure. And as you can see, aside from the map, it is kind of empty. So, what did I actually have in mind story-wise? Well, the party has been assembled here by some other help wanted poster trying to recover quite a bit of stolen alcohol out of the basement of the local tavern. And it's actually kind of weird with what amount of regularity this has been taking place, and that prompted them to seek out help. I know it isn't very original, but that's fine. Okay, so from this point on, we'll need to introduce some color to the scene, some random NPCs, and perhaps some bandits down the line to crash the party as they leave the Terran. I don't know yet, but that is fine. I'm also planning to use this location later on again when the bandits come back to trash the place, so it might not be a bad idea to prepare it for some combat by adding some walls. So we'll start with the walls. Click on the scroll icon on the right hand side and a new menu will open up. This is the map editor menu and it has 4 buttons on the left hand side, or tabs if you will. Now normally this will always start on the grid settings menu unless you've already opened it in this session. In this menu, we want to make sure you either add a grid easily over your map if it doesn't have one, or in case it does have one, and if it does have a grid, we want to make sure you can match your grid that's already on the map to ours. Now, before we go any further, I do like to stress that what you see here today is definitely not a finished product. It is very much a prototype, and its goal is to showcase our philosophy and approach to supporting the TTRPG market and game masters across the world, rather than showcasing a finished product. That's why it's available for free to try out now through our website www.realmarchitect.com. Link is in the description down below. One of our design philosophies is to make TTRPGs and even more so virtual tabletop tools as intuitive as possible for all involved. This means a newer UX and UI approach that doesn't require a freaking maths degree to operate. So let's add the grids and get it to the right scale for the map we're running. First, mark the tick box that says use grid. This will add a grid to the current map, and now we can use all of these little sliders to adjust it just the way we like. First, we have grid size. You can use a slider to adjust the size, making it either smaller or bigger. Pretty self-explanatory. Of note here is that tokens will resize to fit in the middle of a tile at all times. Unfortunately, this also means that your terror ask is as big as a human, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, we know. But we didn't have time to finish that. We also have the grid offset on the X and Y axes, and this will just adjust the position of the grid alongside, well, you guessed it, the X and the Y axes. The last one is the grid opacity. This slider just changes the visibility of the grid, making it easier or harder to see on the map. Another one of these tabs is the environmental effects tab. These allow you to add some sprites to the map that currently don't really have any other function aside from adding some flavor or making it clear that there's, for example, some grease somewhere on the map. To use them, just drag and drop them onto the map. If you then click them again, you can resize them to be smaller or bigger depending on your need. Now, these entirely get way too big, way too fast, but hey, they're there for your pleasure. They also currently have some unique animations if you drag them around. The third one is wall settings. Now, this is actually something I wanted to use in our scenario. I want to add some walls to the whole map, so make sure the use walls checkbox is marked before you go any further. Next, choose a color and then press edit walls. The UI will change to make it easier to paint. If you check the top right corner of the map, there's some instructions on how to add walls to the map and also make other adjustments. So with the left mouse button, we can start placing them into the map. Just keep holding down the mouse button and keep drawing everywhere you see the need for a wall. What we also do sometimes is just add 2 or 3 of these blocks in the middle of a bush just to obscure some vision. If you feel like you've made a mistake somewhere, you can either undo quickly with Ctrl-Z to undo your last action, or, manually paint them out while holding down the right mouse button. If you feel like you're done, you can press spacebar to go out of this editing mode. Now, currently this isn't exactly working the way we want it to. It's admittedly maybe a bit janky. For example, there is in our prototype no way of moving the map while painting, which is a bit of an oversight on our part. And the best way to go about this is to press space when you're done to go out of the editing menu, then move the map while holding down the right mouse button to move the map down to where you want to paint new walls and open the menu again. Obviously, towards later releases, this will be addressed. There's also no doors or other types of walls currently added to the tool, and we don't have anything implemented to make decent curved or straight walls. Again, we aim to fix that towards later releases. However, it does showcase what our intention is and how fast and easy this process should be. Again, we want you to focus on playing the game as much as possible with your players. Now, be careful. If you press the clear walls button, this will remove all of your walls on the current map, and currently there's no warning message if you press it. The next step is the lighting settings. Now, if you watched our last video, you will have seen this part of the menu very briefly, where we unmarked those 2 boxes at the top. Fog of War is currently just an implemented layer that takes away the visibility of the tokens to the player view on your right hand side if you run a dual monitor setup. Of course, we will make this a more advanced feature down the line, just about on par with what other VTTs are offering currently. Alright, so in preparation to this video, I've already added some walls to this map, so now let's fill this place out with some NPCs just to give it a better feel. I've also entirely given up on this idea of bandits or whatever, bears, I don't know just yet, we'll figure it out. Now, it does bring us to our next feature, the Codex. This is one of the most important ones, as it is a place where we believe you'll save the most time just yet. As our tool is also meant to be played in, we wanted to make sure that all your information is at your fingertips when you need it. The content of the current Codex is obviously based on the OGL of 5th edition D&D. This means that all of the data you can find in that specific document are also loaded into the application, giving you the means to just start playing as fast as you can. In the future, we'll obviously collaborate with as many TTRPGs publishers as we can, providing you with a similar, if not the same kind of plug-and-play experience where you just spin up a new campaign, select which kind of TTRPG you're playing, and have all of the base data loaded in. Now, the reason we put this all in there is that just in case you needed to check a certain stat block or read some text about how a spell works exactly, we don't really want to put that more than like 5 clicks away at any point in the application. My favorite part about the Codex currently is the Monster tab, and that's where we'll start. In my scenario, I just thought of a cool way to open up the story. And as I said, it's no longer about bandits, as the adventurers are haggling their way into a contract to find these bandits. Perhaps 2 random bears wander into the bar from the basement. I know it seems a bit random, but hey, it's about 2 a.m. over here when I'm writing this, and this is what my brain came up with. So, how do we add these bears to the scene? Well, first of all, notice that search block at the top. Click on that and start typing your keyword, in this case bear. As you can see, it's really fast and easy. It'll filter straight through all of the information in the Codex and present all of the words, or monsters rather, that bear the word bear. A pun. So let's add 2 brown bears from the Codex to the scene by simply clicking and holding down the left mouse button on the token itself and drag it from the Codex to the scene. Now, you know what's neat? We said we didn't want to put any information more than 5 clicks away from you at any point. So, just to prove that, click on the newly added token and you'll see a new UI element pop open, displaying things like its health bar, the name of the creature, etc. If there's multiple of the same type of creature, an identifying number will be placed beside it in brackets. Furthermore, there's 3 buttons below the health bar that are really nifty. The first one is a little sword. If you press that button, this gives you a summary of all the different types of attacks this monster could do. If you click one of them, there will be a drop-down menu that shows you even more information about that specific attack. Of course, in the future release, we want you to be able to roll your attacks and damage right from out of this menu. The second one is what we call the status effect menu. If you press this one, you'll get a list of different types of afflictions. These are currently cutely animated, but also a little bit incomplete. There's actually a ton of these afflictions in D&D, and some of them are quite niche. But hey, they're here, so check them out. They're kind of fun. Towards the future, it's a bit unclear for us currently how we'll implement them, as we want to support as many systems as possible, but any type of affliction you'll be able to add to that menu. There's also going to be a later video where we'll dive deeper into the future of Realm Architect. For now, let's move on to the third button, which when clicked will always open up the codex at the monster tab at the exact stat block you're asking for of that particular monster. The reason we have set it up this way is that we were kind of sick of having to alt-tab into another tool or having DMs rifle through one of their many books to figure out what something exactly does, or go into OneNote or whatever these people are using currently. So this should at least reduce the amount of downtime while playing in and keep immersion levels a little bit higher at the table. The second added benefit is that while interacting with all of these menus, none of them will show up on your second monitor, so players have no idea you are checking something out. As a DM, you're not overtly looking into a book, and this allows you as a DM to keep your cards a little bit closer to the chest. Alright, okay, so let's take a minute now to explain why we claim your second monitor on startup as well and just mirror the image, or that's what it seems like. You have 2 different kind of screens. Consider the one on your primary monitor to be a combination of your DM screen and the tabletop together. You have privileged information there that is not accessible to your players. They don't just get to peek behind your DM screen in real life either, so we figured out we should replicate that in some form. But otherwise, players have everything presented to them to play the game. For example, tokens on your DM side will always be visible to you as opposed to the player view. In the next video, we'll show you how to create a player character, add some character stats, and then add it to the map to showcase fully what this means for your players. We'll also make a video to showcase how not only us, but other people in the community are currently using the tool for both in real life play, but also online play. So that brings us to the end of this video, where we've shown you how to build encounters by adding tokens to the map, enemies such as bears and apparently stolen alcohol and whatever, how to add maps or walls to your maps rather, and in the next video we'll show you what the effect of this preparation was. So let's get on to that one.